Hey, what's up guys? I'm Brad from Fix This Build That. Today I'm going to show you 6 different ways how to plug and fill pocket holes. I'm going to give you the pros and the cons of each one. I'm also going to show you what my favorite is, and I'm going to show you a jig that I made that makes it even faster. Alright, stay tuned and we'll check it out. The first filler I'm going to show you is the tried and true wood filler, aka wood putty. I'm going to go ahead and break this open and fill these holes and see how it does.
The application on the wood filler is pretty straightforward. You just fill up the hole, top it off a little bit over the top, and then set it off and let it dry.
For the next 2 methods, I've actually never used these before. I sent out an Instagram message to my audience and I asked them, what's your favorite way to fill pocket holes? They said, hey, what about sawdust and wood glue? So I'm going to try that and we'll see how it goes.
I took the dust catcher off from my random orbital sander and I dumped out the sawdust that was in there. I later realized this was walnut, that's why it looks so brown. And then I mixed it up with glue and formed a paste. Then I put the paste into the holes. I really had a hard time of really getting that into the holes nicely, but I did the best I could, and then I set it aside to dry as well.
The third method to fill your pocket holes is something you might not expect. It's Bondo. That's right, Bondo, in the wood shop. I talked to the folks over on Instagram and there were a bunch of them that said, hey, I use Bondo. So I'm going to try it and see what happens.
Mixing the Bondo is pretty straightforward. I just followed the directions on the can, mixed it up till it was a nice pink consistency, and then I filled the holes up, making sure that they were over full so I could fill it back to flush.
Alright, I can say that's the first time Bondo has been in the Fix This Build That workshop, but I got this board all Bondoed up and I'm going to let it dry and then we'll sand it. Don't ever let me Bondo your car. The first 3 methods were all about filling. The next 3 are going to be about plugging. So number 4 is going to be using store-bought plugs. These I've got here are in oak, but they're in a lot of different varieties. Let's put them in here and see how it works.
These plugs are really easy to install. You just apply the glue in there and then you put the plugs into the holes. My plugs are a little loose, as you can see here, which is interesting because a lot of folks on Instagram told me that theirs are always too tight. Regardless, I set these aside, let them dry, and then I came back and cut them flush with a flush trim saw. I'll have a link down below in the description to this flush cut saw and also an alternative that's only about $14 that you can get from the home center.
The 5th way to plug or fill pocket holes, which is going to be using a 3/8 of an inch dowel cut at an angle. So it's going to be just like the plug that I just used, except this one I cut on a little jig. There's a couple videos out there to show you how to do this, but all you do is cut pocket holes into the piece, you stick that in there, you cut it off so it is now flush cut. Alright, so that's what I'm going to do with this one. I'm going to install this and we'll see how it works.
The installation of these 3/8 inch dowels is the same as the store-bought ones, except the fit's a lot tighter. So you can try to use a rasp. I've seen that in some videos to install those. This really wasn't working for me. You can also use the Kreg Mini, which has a little spot that's supposed to be used to push these in. That did not work for me either.
Ow.
So you can probably guess this is not my favorite method. I actually did something very similar except with a scratch-awl the last time I was trying to put these in when I was building my last project. Anyway, after I got them installed with a rasp, I let them sit for about 5 minutes just to set up. Then I came back and cut them flush with a flush trim saw.
Alright, I saved my favorite for last. The 6th method to plug and fill holes is just to use 3/8 inch dowel, except straight cut, just a 1.5 inch straight cut piece of dowel. It installs very easily. I just busted my knuckles again trying to give a demo, trying to push in those angled ones. You will never do that with this. I'll show you why.
The biggest difference between the angled cut dowel and the straight cut dowel is just ease of installation. The straight cut dowel has that flat side on it so you can easily install it with a hammer. You'll see how I do it here, and also there's a great tight fit, so you can just wait a couple minutes and then cut that flush with a flush trim saw as well. Here's a quick recap of the different types of plugs. You've got the store-bought, the angled cut, and then the straight cut dowels here. And here's a jig to quickly make those 1.5 inch straight dowels. Drill a 3/8 of an inch hole through the edge of a 1x3 with your pocket hole bit. Now mark a line 1.5 inches from the edge and cut straight down through the hole with your flush cut saw. Now all you do is put the dowel through the hole flush with the outer edge. It only takes a few strokes to cut the dowel, and as you push that dowel forward, it will eject the plug you just cut. This is a lot faster than using a power tool, and you've got those plugs ready in a container. Sweet! To smooth out the test pieces, I put 150 grit sandpaper on my sander, then I just sanded all the plugs and fills till they were flush with the surface.
I got everything sanded, and I'm kind of surprised by some of these results. Let's check it out. Start up here with the wood filler. This actually came out really nice. There's no gaps in there, no voids at all. I thought this was going to need to be refilled, but it doesn't. This one actually worked really well. Nice and smooth. The sawdust and glue, this is just a mess. It was super hard to sand. I went ahead and gave up on it just because this is recessed. I did not like this one at all. The Bondo is the one I was probably most surprised by. The Bondo is actually even a little smoother than the other wood filler. The Bondo also sanded much faster than I thought it would. This turned out really nice. I can see why folks like this. This is the store-bought plugs, and I was a little surprised because these gaps showed back up. You can see here, there are definitely gaps in there, and that's going to need another little bit of filling if you want to have a completely smooth surface. This is the angled dowels, and as you can imagine, those little gaps still at the top are there, and some little gaps here at the bottom and where I chipped out the wood, but these are pretty smooth. Around the edges here, it's really smooth. It's just the front that I kind of flubbed up by not getting in there properly. All right, and here's the straight edge dowels. This one, the front and the back seem really good. This looks a little dark because there is kind of a little bit of a gap there. So this one actually is going to need a little bit of filling too. A quick recap of the pros and the cons of each. From the filler side, obviously the pro is the super smooth finish. Other than the sawdust and glue, I wouldn't recommend that one. Maybe I did it wrong. But from a wood filler and the Bondo, the finish was very nice, but you have to wait a good deal of time for that to dry before you can sand it. On the plug side, the store-bought ones, they installed really easy, but it's a loose fit, so you got to go back and you got to do a little bit more filling. The angle plug, I would definitely not recommend that unless you want to bust your fingers up like I did or take an awl to the finger. The straight dowels are the ones that I like best, easily installed with a hammer. If you have any gaps, you can quickly fill it and you can move on. From a price perspective, the store-bought ones, you can get a box of 50 for $5. You can get, out of the same $5, you could buy 5 dowels and get 32 dowels a piece out of it for 160 dowels. So you can get 3 times as many out of a dowel as you can out of the store-bought plugs. There you go, guys. Now you know 6 different ways to plug or fill pocket holes. I'm sure this is going to generate a lot of comments. Let me know down below what your favorite one was, and also if I missed something that you do that I did not test here. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you along for the journey. And until next time, guys, get out there and build something awesome.